Hello and welcome. I hope that you're all doing well. In this video, we're going to start to discuss the basics of Express to get a better idea of what it really does for us and how it can generally be used. So let's go over to the code and take a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clear out most of the code that we have right now, and we're going to change things up a little bit based on the way that we're approaching our current problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import the Express component in the same way that we've been requiring other components previously. So we'll just do a require for Express. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to say var app equals Express. What we're doing is we're setting up an Express-based application for Node.js. So this app is going to be used for anything that is required in order to get Express up and running. This includes things like setting up the actual server to listen on a specific port, as well as setting up all of the API endpoints that we might want. So in the previous video, I showed you all about URL parsing. We discussed URL parsing and generally how it can be used to redirect us to different pages. What we can do instead in Express is we can actually just work directly with endpoints as well as the request type that we want. To do this, we say something like this. We say app dot, and then there's a number of different operations that we can put in here. In order to do just retrieving a page, we could do app.get. So app.get is going to take in some path, and that path is going to be the path that's used to access this particular page. So for instance, if I wanted to access the page test, I could do like this, /test. That way, if anyone goes to the /test directory, or path rather, they will end up with the content being served based on what I write in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say function request and results, or in response rather. And what we're going to do is inside of here, we're actually going to write the code associated with what we want to do when this test endpoint is accessed. I realized I forgot a comma there, so we'll just put that in. So when we get to the test endpoint, what do we want to happen? And at this point, you could do the things like opening up a file in order to read it, right? That would be something that you'd be able to do at this point. However, for this example, I'm just going to do something really simple. I'm just going to do a simple response back with hello world, like we've been doing sort of throughout this. So I'll just do like res.send, and we could say hello world. So what this will do is it will, of course, display hello world on the page as soon as we send back this request. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up the app to now listen as well. So we're going to say app.listen, and then we give the port, which is 5000, and then we do this here. Whoop. There we go. Now this syntax might look a little bit weird. This is the same as doing a function, this part here. It's just that there's no arguments involved in this function. So we just put a set of empty parentheses and then this arrow to set up the function here. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to simply log that the console or that the server has started. So I'm going to do like a console.log. I'm going to say server has started. That way it's just clear that the server is actually running. And that should be everything that we need. So at this point, we have set up one single endpoint. When you access this endpoint as a get, which means that we are trying to retrieve the data, it's going to send back a response that says hello world. And that's really all there is to it. So let's take a look what that looks like. Go over to my browser. Well, actually, we have to start running it first. So let's do that. We're going to say node index like before. It says server has started. And now we can come over here, and what you'll find is if I try to access like an endpoint with nothing in it, it's going to say cannot get to that. So that means that there's no endpoint currently set up for just the slash. So that tells you that that isn't able to be accessed. However, if we go to test, you can see it does return the result that we expected. So this should give you a better idea of how things are working with Express. What we're doing is we're saying for the endpoint test, return hello world. We could use that in the same way as what we've been doing. Like we can use that to retrieve a file, for instance, or really write anything to the screen. And we can also use this for more API focused ideas, which is what we're going to sort of discuss here as we continue on. So that's everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Thank you for watching. And in the next video, I'm going to demonstrate to you a different way that we can actually access the data from this endpoint using something called Postman, which allows us to send different API calls to a server. So that's what we'll look at in the next video.